Hello, Les. I'm absolutely thrilled to be chatting with you. One of the finest and
Great.
most versatile talents to ever come from Liverpool. Comedian, actor, the best ever quiz show host. How are you, sir?
Thank you very much. That's great. I'm thrilled to be talking to you at last. I know we've tried to do this so many times before and we've never got round to it. But it's what I do is I'm legging it all over the place. I was coming back yesterday from London and then getting into this show, and it's pretty hectic. But I always wanted to fit you in, and I always appreciate when you mention me in your Twitter feed.
Oh, brilliant. Really appreciate that. What time does the show start tonight, Les? Are you on stage at what, 7-ish?
7:30 it is tonight, and you can imagine it's set in the Depression of America in the 1930s. So we're all in the biggest wool three-piece suits and overcoats on this hottest day.
Oh no!
It's incredible. Yeah.
Is the fans in front of you, Lent? Not fans.
There's fans of the show, but there's no fans in front of us. But I think it's air conditioned, but it's more air conditioned for the people in the theatre watching. On stage, we've got the lights and the tap dancing for the kids. I mean, our ensemble are incredible. You can see them there behind you. They're just incredible. And Nicole Lily Baisden, who's at the front of that lot there, and she's amazing. She plays Peggy Sawyer. And the dancing is off the scale. Luckily, I don't have to do too much, just a little bit of soft shoe shuffle.
Yeah. Brilliant. The show, it runs, I think, does it end tomorrow night, the run, 42nd Street?
It ends in Liverpool tomorrow night. I've only been able to do Thursday, Friday, Saturday because, as everybody knows now, I'm doing Strictly, and we had some recording at the beginning of the week, and the launch show starts a week on Saturday. I can actually say that now. I know who my partner is, but I can't tell you.
Okay.
So you'll find out a week on Saturday, and I'm really excited and looking forward to that. But we have a week off next week, so I'll just be dancing all day, every day with my partner, and then the show goes on tour. We go to Woking, we go to Manchester, Belfast, Southampton, and somewhere else, Newcastle. So a few more weeks to go yet.
Brilliant. Les, if it's okay with you, could we go back through your brilliant career and discuss the highlights along the way?
Remind me.
I will do, yeah. Going back to the 60s then, when you were doing your A-level in art at Quarry Bank Comprehensive.
Yeah.
Were you the class
with
comedian?
Alan Plent? Oh yeah. Alan Plent was my teacher, great art teacher. He was really, really encouraging. It was the one A-level I have, art, and I got a B in art. I'm really pleased with that. I didn't get my English. I was really gutted that I did. I got an O-level pass in English, but I did my art A-level and was really thrilled with it. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I even considered at one point going to art school, because I went to the same school that John Lennon had gone to and had the same headmaster, Bill Pobjoy, who was incredible. He was so progressive. He was the first headmaster in the country to stop corporal punishment.
Oh, yeah. That is a surprise, that actually. I remember the collegiate. I think I've still got scars on the base of my spine, getting the cane.
No, he made sure, he said this isn't right, and he stopped it.
Yeah, very progressive. From there, you started working as a comedian in working men's clubs. So tell us about some of the places you worked in. Was it a great audience for someone starting out, or was it rough?
It was a great, I started the clubs while I was still at school. I used to, my mum knew that I wanted to do it. I'd done Butlin's talent competition and done well in that. I'd won the weekly heat and gone back to the area finals, which was a big deal, going to Butlin's, because it was the People National Talent Competition. It was £1,000 winner. That was the prize. And you got a free holiday to go back at the end of the year, and all the pros from the Northwest were there. Cannon and Ball were on, and they didn't win, and neither did I. Stan Boardman won one year, won the £1,000. So I started through there, and then the working men's clubs. My mum knew, she worked at Lucas Aerospace, and she knew the concert secretary at the No Green Social Club in Norris Green. And he gave me my first break, my first experience on stage, 10 minutes in between the legendary Bert Cook, who was one of Liverpool's iconic local comedians, who was, you know, he was a darker shade of blue, but he was brilliant. And so I started there. I did the Nor Green, and then I did, you know, Melling Ratepayers, which is out still there, and the Woodcutters Club, which is at the bottom of my street that I was born in Garston, Chesterton Street, and it's still there. I know that because last week, and you know, this is a little hint, it might be featured next week on telly. I visited the Woodcutters again. Okay.
Meet any old faces on there, Les?
No, when I went in, there was just Linda, who runs it there, and she showed me around, and it's not changed at all. Yeah. And the street I live in hasn't changed. It's still there. It's like the old, you know, 2 up, 2 down streets in Coronation Street. And I found out last time I was there that I'm a mudman. Do you know what that is?
Mudsman? Is that on one side of Garston and one side Speke? Is it?
Yeah. If you're born under the bridge in Garston, you're a mudman because you're down by the shore. Yeah. And what happened was, in the days of hardship, the men used to go out onto the sandbanks and find coal that the trawlers had dropped. So you christened mudmen.
That's brilliant. I sort of guessed that. I don't know why. I must have heard it sometime in the past.
Yeah, you must have heard it.
Yeah, I mentioned.
I was fascinated with your book. Oh. Your book about Green Hills was amazing.
Oh, thank you very much.
Because I used to have a paper round over that bridge, over that
over the Green Hills. Yeah,
over the Green Hills. Yeah,
was that to Barker's? Was it, Les? From Walsingham over the Green Hills to Barker's, the sweet shop on the corner.
Yes, it was, absolutely. That was exactly where it was.
Jake Barber.
And there was a road round there. I can't remember which it was. It was like a crescent, and I used to deliver the papers in that road.
That was the army houses, maybe off Chilwell Valley.
Yeah.
No, I did as well. I did the paper, and I delivered there as well. Maybe I think a couple of years after you. Yeah. A small world.
I can remember that that one week the papers on a Friday they were always lighter because you know, as the week went on they got lighter. It started off heavy and then was it the other way around? It might have been the other way around. They got heavier towards the week. Yeah. But I remember one day going, these are heavy, and what it was the Echo did what do you call it? When you get something to go with the paper, supplement. It was a supplement, and it was about the Beatles. It was the Beatles had broken America that week, and it was the Fab Four in America. It was a massive supplement. I had to deliver that to all those houses. So we're going back to 1963.
Yeah, great piece of history. Yeah. I mentioned old faces then that you saw in Garston. Which leads me on to an ITV talent show, New Faces, which you won
New Faces
back in 1974.
Yeah, I did Opportunity Knocks in 1971, and that's my benchmark to when I started, and I didn't win that. And then I went on Opportunity Knocks in 1973, and I won with the viewers, and I came back and I won with the viewers again. Never with the panel to begin with. Then the third time I won with the panel with Tony Hatch, and I got one of the highest scores recorded on that show. Yeah. Even Tony Hatch gave me 9, 9, 9, and a 10 because I think it was 9, 9. There were 3. I think it was star quality, content, and presentation were the categories. And he gave me 9, 9, and then a 10. And then I came back for the viewers winners show. The show 4, the big one that I did, and I was in that, and I didn't win it, but I was in good company because neither did Victoria Wood. We both lost.
Yeah,
so there you go.
that's some names.
Yeah.
Moving forward to the early 80s, you joined Russ Abbot's Madhouse before joining up with impressionist Dustin Gee and your own television program, The Laughter Show.
Yeah,
is that one of the highlights?
They were great highlights. I've got into the Russ's show because I did summer season with the Black Abbots in Blackpool, 1979, and then when Russ went solo a couple of years later, I was the support act on his show, and because when he was with the Black Abbots, he had all the guys around him to feed him because Russ was a character comic. He needed to have a comedy feed. because they weren't there anymore, I became his comedy feed, and I started as Les the Ted. We were like Vince Prince and Les the Ted, the Teddy Boys, with a funny laugh, and that was great. And that was that's my start. And then Russ invited me onto the Madhouse, and that's where I met Dustin, and that was where it all began for me. Meeting Dustin Gee was one of the greatest days of my life. He was a brilliant performer. He was doing shows in Liverpool at the Wookey Hollow and Allinson's, all the big cabaret clubs, the Shakespeare in Liverpool.
Pickwick's.
He was doing shows as a star. He was topping the bill when he had no TV experience. He had a word of mouth experience, similar to Mike Harding and Billy Connolly and all those big comics. He had that where people went, Dustin Gee, you've got to see him, he's brilliant. And then we teamed up as a double act. He didn't need me, but he loved being part of a double act. And we had very short time together between 83 and 86. It was, but we made such an impression in that time. Dustin had a condition, cardiomyopathy, hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. He knew he was on borrowed time, but he wanted to live his life the best way he could, and he packed a lot in.
I've got extremely happy memories of watching the show. It was a highlight of the weekend.
Yeah, it was a great show to do, and we didn't know, and it was only after Dustin went that I went, oh my God, we were doing well, because it was so fast that, our acceleration was so quick. We were on the same show that Tommy Cooper collapsed on live TV.
That's right, I remember that.
We were the next act on, me and Dustin, and so we were aware of suddenly becoming big, but we didn't have time to think about it. And Dustin said to me, he said, afterwards, after that show, he said, that's the way I'd like to go. I'd like to go and die with my boots on. Should be careful what happens, because, he collapsed in Southport a couple of years later and didn't survive to show the wonderful talent and the kindness he had.
But for 15 years, you hosted the top-rated quiz show, Family Fortunes. Do you still get that comment, your catchphrase? Do you get people saying that to you? Strangers walking past.
I get people doing the behind all the time. But actually now they're going, strictly, hey Les, strictly. But I do get people knowing about Family Fortunes. It's still on Challenge. You can still watch it. People still seem to say, oh, you are my favourite host, which is lovely to have, because I was following Bob Monkhouse and Max Bygraves. Bob Monkhouse passed on the baton to me. He said, he called me and he said, you'll enjoy this show, have a great time. And I did exactly the same when Vernon took over. I went, here you go, Vernon, have a great time. And, with my compliments, you're just going to enjoy your journey with this. So I even did it with who's it does it now? It's the
Italian bloke, Gino
Di Campo. I got in touch with him. Good luck with it, because it's a great show. It's a great format, and I had 15 years, and the early years were 15, 16 million viewers a week. You wouldn't, you couldn't get that now.
No,
it was
smashed it.
There was only 3-4 channels in those days. So I think we had Channel 4 by then when I was doing it, but there were 4 channels, and that was the only choice. And Family Fortunes. What I love is people come up to me and say, "You were part of my Saturday night getting ready to go out. We used to watch you and then Cilla Black straight after with Blind Dates." So it was part of their getting ready to go out on a Saturday night. Family Fortunes and Blind Dates. And I'm in the dressing room here where I worked with Cilla. In 2008, we did the panto here at the Empire Theatre. We did Cinderella, the old Liverpool Scouse panto but it was for the Capital of Culture year. Great show.
2008.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
You've got a great CV of theatre work. Chicago, Me and My Girl in the West End, and now 42nd Street here in Liverpool. Is it the live work in front of an audience that you prefer? Or is it in television shows like Corrie, Brookside, Extras?
I love getting a mix, and something comes along, like Corrie came along, and it was great to do, and that was 2.5 years. But the theatre work sustains me throughout. When there's no TV around, then, you know, and I'm loving Strictly because it's like being back on the floor of a, you know, big glitzy Saturday night light entertainment show. But I love the theatre, and you know, in the last few years, I've been able to do the Royal Shakespeare. I did a season then, doing two plays, two tragedy, a restoration tragedy, Venice Preserved, and a restoration comedy, The Provoked Wife. So that was great. Then I did my first opera for the English National Opera, HMS Pinafore. So I keep getting challenges, and 42nd Street was a no-brainer because I'd never seen the show. I wanted to see it, so I decided to see it by being in it.
Brilliant. You had a film role as well with Julie Walters, Intimate Relations.
Yeah, it's a
back
great,
in the 90s.
Great little English movie that it's a true story, and I got to play Rupert Graves's half brother.
Oh yeah.
So that was great fun to do. I did another movie called Wounded, which won best film at the Marbella Film Festival. So yeah, I've done a couple of films and some teledrama as well along the way.
Yeah, you've travelled the world. You were in that show set in Jamaica, the detective show.
Yeah, I did that. That's a couple of years back. I did that. That was lovely to do. To go out to Guadeloupe and have a great time with those actors. It was a lovely part, playing a dodgy sidekick. And so, I loved it, and he's still alive. That's it. He wasn't the murderer, and he wasn't murdered, and he still lives on that island. So who knows? He might come back. You never know.
Brilliant. Yeah, fingers crossed for that. Yeah. Les, during the COVID lockdown period, I saw you put out I think it was an hour and a half long, a YouTube of you doing your one-man show at the Liverpool comedian. Was it Jigsy? Am I pronouncing that properly?
It's the play's called Jigsy, and it's based on Jackie Hamilton. Jackie Hamilton was the funniest man. I worked with Jackie Hamilton in the early years, and he was a Liverpool comedian who was never racist, never sexist, just Liverpool funny.
He was
funny. And he never travelled outside of Liverpool. He was a local comedian, and he was a brilliant comedian. And Tony Staybaker wrote this one-man play about him. There's a great story about him when he was working on a TV series called Jenny's War, and Jackie. It was set in a prisoner of war camp, and the producer said, "Jackie, I can't use you in these scenes because you know it's a prisoner of war camp, and you look at you've got a beer belly." You've got a boozer's nose, you know. We can't have you in these scenes. And he went, "What are you talking about? I was only captured yesterday."
That's true.
Just hilarious. And that was Jackie. So I got to play Jackie, and Jackie's family came to watch it and gave it the thumbs up. It was a lovely show to do, and we'd done it at the World Court. And then during the pandemic, we decided that we'd record it again and put it out on their YouTube channel.
This may be a stupid question to ask someone with acting experience. How did you remember your lines all the way through that? Did you have little prompts dotted about in front of you?
Well, that play, it's a one-man play, so you've got nobody else to think, right, they're going to take over now. I just, you know, I remember when I had to relearn it for the pandemic. I used to get on the running machine, and I just had a knee replacement, so I was walking, not running, and I just went through it in my head, and I looked, and you know, there was across the mirror in the gym, and I used to think, just do it over and over, and I just did a play called Spring and Port Wine, and that was a massive role as well, playing the role that James Mason had played in the film set in Bolton. Bolton, and we did that at the Octagon, and that was a massive role, and I had to learn it. You just have to get on, and you just have to learn. And I kind of see it on the page. I can see where it was on the page. It's not photographic or anything. I learn it, but I know exactly where it was on the page. I can't do that, you know, listening to it, because I don't want to listen to my voice doing it, because I think, you know, I want to do it differently than that. So I read it over and over on the page.
Well rehearsed. Can I ask about There was a book, I think, I'm not sure whether you actually wrote the book, around about 2010, a book came out. Have you ever sat down and thought of penning your memoirs? Do you keep a
I
diary
did
of
it.
what you're up to?
It's out there. It's
Yeah.
called "Must the Show Go On?"
Yeah.
And I wrote it myself, and I didn't have a ghostwriter.
Oh.
I didn't have an editor. My wife Claire, who was my fiance then,
Yeah.
I wrote it longhand. She typed it up, and it was published by Orion. And recently, I read it. I thought, if only for my kids, I've got to do this as an audiobook, so that we're going to put it out as an audiobook. And I think there's probably a second volume for me to come, because, you know, since 2008, a lot's happened. A lot packed in the career. So who knows, we might must the show go on too.
Brilliant. Would you do the audio work yourself? You do the reading?
I did the reading of it. Yeah, I did the reading of that. Yeah. I mean, it's important. It's got to be my voice. So
of course,
yeah. Although when I listened to Elton John's, while I was having my knee replaced, I stayed awake.
What? Really?
While they were.
Oh, you weren't looking at it, were you?
The anaesthetist advised me, said, stay awake and just have the epidural, which is basically, you know, so you don't feel anything.
Yeah.
And I was listening to Elton John, who Taron Egerton does a great job, you know, pretending to be Elton.
Yeah.
And I was listening, and I thought, I'm just going to have a listen, see what's going on out here. I couldn't see what was going on. I was under all sorts of sheets and things, so they wouldn't let me see it. And I thought, who's putting shelves up?
Oh no!
I could hear the banging.
Oh no!
The banging. Who's putting shelves?
Oh dear! My missus had her knee done about a year ago. She's still limping a bit now, but I think it's a hard regime of physiotherapy afterwards, and you have to stick to it, don't you? You know, you have to do those exercises.
You do, absolutely. I was really lucky. I had a really good physio, and she managed to get me. You know, I think it was in the end of January I had it done, and by May I was doing. I was rehearsing Hairspray with Michael Ball, dancing again.
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot of dancing around. You keep yourself fit. You mentioned you were on running machines and gyms, learning a script.
Well, I walk. I wasn't in the last. Lately, I'd let it go a bit, and with Strictly coming up, I thought I've got to get myself straight. So I put my Fitbit back on. And I'm determined to do my 10,000 steps a day. The last few days, because I've been traveling, I've not been able to do it, and I'm jittery about not doing it. So I can't kind of do long sessions in the gym, but I'm determined to get myself fit, and the dancing is going to get me fit as well.
Okay. So what's next for you, Les? What's you got lined up? Is that you can mention any films lined up? New stage shows, Strictly?
I'm going to be doing more of. I'm doing Panto in Northwich this year.
Yeah.
And I'm also then going to do a little more of 42nd Street next year. I'm going to do 8 weeks of the tour next year.
Yeah.
And there's something that I can't quite mention yet, sadly.
Okay.
I'll come back to you and let you know.
Fair enough.
But it's a big show. It's a show that I've already done in the West End, and we're taking it on tour, and it's going to be great. Okay. There you go. You can look through the back catalogue.
I will do. I'll be researching that. But Les, I think time's caught up with us. I really appreciate your generous time sharing it with me.
I'm really thrilled. You knew our Ken, didn't you?
I did actually.
My brother Ken.
Yeah, well, he's well, the novel, we mentioned my novel, I give it a plug, Tales from the Green Hills. There's a mixture of characters from off Walsingham Avenue, Thornton Road, and your Kenny was sort of hanging around on the Green Hill at the time. Him and Billy Mee, do you remember him? He was mate.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. Our Ken was a good footballer as well in those days.
Hey, it reminds me, your dad, wasn't your dad near to sign him with Liverpool?
No, he did sign with Liverpool. I've got his contract.
Oh, brilliant.
He played in 1936, and I've got his contract, and it says the said player, Liverpool Football Club will pay the said player £1 per week.
What?
With a £1 bonus. With a £1 bonus if he scores a goal.
Yeah.
And he played for Liverpool. He played first for South Liverpool and Liverpool Boys. Liverpool, South Liverpool. He also played for who did he play for? Preston North End, I think. No, Blackburn Rovers. Played for Blackburn Rovers and Tranmere Rovers.
Yeah.
So he had a little football career there.
Brilliant.
And he was a great swimmer as well, my dad.
Yeah. You're talking about football. Yourself, you're a fellow Red, aren't you? A Liverpool supporter.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, totally.
Do you get to go to matches at all, Ken?
You know, I go. You call me Ken then.
I know. Sorry, Kenny.
So I go. My friend Colin McKeown, who runs LA Productions, is always inviting me. And you know, with being in the West End or being in a show like this, I'm never able to go. But my youngest son now, Tom, is showing an interest. He wants to go to a game. So once I get clear of this for a bit, and Strictly, which I'm going all the way to Blackpool to, I've got to believe, I'm going to take him to a game. So yeah, love it.
Do you know the first time I took my son about 10 years ago to match at Anfield? We were in the Kop, and he sort of nudged me. He said, "Dad, what's up? What's up?" He said, "Someone's smoking over there." I say, lad, when I was your age coming here, you used to get the things passed down your pants. I would say.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Well,
rolled up with a rolled up echo.
My dad was an Evertonian, and he used to stand in the boys' pen in the 20s, and he saw Dixie Dean score his 60th goal.
Wow!
From the boys' pen.
Yeah. That's some memory, that.
Mm-hmm.
That's some memory. I remember. I've got memories of nearly breaking my back trying to climb over the boys' pen, trying to get into the Kop. I paid me 3 or 6pence to the boys' pen.
Yeah. I remember going once to the Kop, and it was hilarious because there was a game on, and it was dull. It was 0-0 at half time, and a pigeon flew into the penalty area and walked, and the Kop went silent and walked, and it crossed the goal line, and you'd have thought they'd have won the league. The Kop went mad when the pigeon crossed the line. That's the Kop for you.
Yeah, quick-witted. My uncle Jimmy Melia, he was a player for Liverpool in the 60s with Shankly. They sold him, I think, in 1965 to Wolves, I think.
Yeah. I went to school with Steve Coppell.
Oh, yeah. Man United.
And we used to play in Chilwell Valley girls' school.
Girls' school,
we used to go and play there over the Green Hills with Steve Coppell, Brian Barwick, who went on to run the FA.
Oh,
and I also went to school with David Johnson.
Oh, yeah. Liverpool player. Winger, Oh, brilliant.
That's a couple of years ago.
Yeah. Good memories. Someone came in behind you before, Les. I don't know whether they're trying to get in touch with you.
Yeah, it was Kevin. I'm sharing a dressing room with Kevin, and I just thought, he's got out, so I better let him back in.
Oh, fair enough, yeah. But listen, Ken, as I say, time's caught up, but it's been absolutely delight chatting with you. And
fantastic, and you.
And that's hopefully let's keep in touch. And very best wishes with the show tonight and with Strictly.
Cheers. Thank you very much. Thanks, Terry.
Thank you.
Talk to you soon.
Cheers, mate. Bye now. Bye.